YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. Look at this. We've got the Arrows Hawkeye 600 millimeters. Little brushed motor, ready to fly, complete with transmitter. 380 milliamp hour 1S pack we've got stationed right up in there. The center of gravity was literally perfect. And without further ado, check this thing out. We are in auto leveling. Watch this. There you go. Oh, that is so sweet. Guys, I love when I can get into a simple, ready to fly that actually works. Look at this. 50, that's not even 50, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70% power. Let go of the sticks. Look at how nice that is, guys. Super easy to fly. You got up, you got down, you got roll left, you got roll right. And then out, we're gonna go into dynamic mode, which is like a stabilization only. And that thing flies really well. We've got a little bit of wind. I would say probably 7 to 10 mile an hour gusts, if that. And I'm about 50% throttle here. Going over that hill, we pick up a little bit of drift. Okay, full throttle pass coming. Now remember, there's no rudder on this. It's just a bank and yank. So when you're flying it, you're basically using the right stick for ailerons and elevator. But just don't forget, you don't have any yaw control. So let's see how it lands. I'm gonna see if I can catch it here on the first attempt. Oh, so close. And yet I missed. But as you can see, zero damage. The thing is flexible. It does have some support. The support is here, but the wings are flexible. And so that allows for movement. I think I'm gonna actually tweak the frame just a hair to try to get it to go a little bit more straight. You see how bendy it is? Okay, so here we go. Still dynamic mode, full throttle. Watch this. That's so cool. Gotta love it. Gotta love it, folks. So basically, if you just kind of keep your ailerons from getting too far away from you, you're golden. Really fun little plane, super simple, inexpensive gift idea. Definitely fun for any of your favorite RC friends and or family. Is definitely not gonna be a hobby grade aircraft for you by any means. But the thing is, it's fun, it's easy, it's not gonna make a huge time commitment. So if you're looking for a little something you can set in front of your husband or your boyfriend or your wife or whoever's into the aircraft that's in your life for Christmas morning. And then look at that, even with full on crashes, we're doing no damage. So ordinarily when we do these small planes, my expectations are pretty low, okay? Because they're just simple, they're inexpensive, they don't require a lot of big time investment or big money investment. But this one is good because it's just real light duty. Look at this, guys. I can twist the wing like this, okay? See how much I'm twisting that? It's almost flat. Now watch this. I'm just gonna fly again. There you go. So as you can see, the thing is robust. It is good. You can give it to your grandkids or your wife that doesn't know how to fly, and you're not gonna have to worry about like, hey, how much glue do I need to order when I get this? Here, let's do a loop. Oh yeah, it'll do a loop. It'll fly upside down. It'll do all that stuff that you want it to. But I do need to warn you, it's not got unlimited power, so you don't wanna get too close to the roof because you may end up on top of it. But you can inspect your Christmas lights while you're up there. As you can see, it's got some level of agility. Let's go out to the center of the runway here. I want to catch this thing badly, but I think I got to fly into the wind to do that effectively. My brain is like, use the rudder, and I'm trying to use the rudder. Oh yeah, I got you this time. Oh, that is so cool. And for your information, I did hit the spinning prop that time. And look, my finger's still attached. Okay. I don't have to amputate yet. There you go, guys. Look at that. That is so sweet. Look at this. Woo! Woo!
It is windy too.
I know, it's windier than I thought it was.
I'm surprised how well it's doing in the wind.
Well, this is with stability mode on, and it's actually doing a really nice job.
Yeah, it is.
It really has a lot more roll authority than I thought it would have. I would really love to see a rudder on this thing because I feel like it flies like a really nice, it's got like that well-balanced glider appeal to it. And when you get a decent flying glider, I want to do everything with it, you know? So now the other thing you could do to get this thing, you know, amp it up just a little bit is if you want, you could put a little higher milliamp hour battery in there and get that center of gravity forward a little bit, and it would carry a little bit more inertia. But, you know, like being that I'm at 100% throttle, I am flying against or with the wind. So I think we might be running low on power. Oh. Now, full disclosure, we switched out our battery before it was fully charged because we want to get out here and fly. So we have another battery we're going to pop in there right now. We're going to do that, and I'll just show you exactly how this goes. Camera crew is going to hold my canopy. This is from the BF 109 we did the other day. Just going to break this one out. That was only charged about 4.12, so it had a little bit to go still. Yep. This one was fully charged and it's fairly new, but it's also a little teeny bit bigger. So I'm just gonna plop this in here, kind of stuff it into that opening. I did notice it was a little bit tough to get the battery into the opening because this little plug or lug or whatever you wanna call that goes in there, it does get a little bit tight, okay? Make sure this is fully initiated before you start flying. Throttle up, throttle down. See, it's not initiated, so I'm gonna lay it down and just don't touch it. Just let it sit. There.
There it goes.
You see the dance, folks? That's what you gotta wait for. Now, it's working. So, as you can see, it's flying really nice. I'm gonna trim a little bit this time, see if I can get it to fly straight. Oh yeah, the bigger battery definitely helps a little bit. It's just heavier. It's just enough heavier that you can kind of get it to execute the maneuvers. So if you were to stick that thing so it's flying a little bit more nose heavy, I feel like that would be a generally good thing on this aircraft. You know, if you don't want to have to mess with where the battery is, you can also put a small coin like a nickel in the front, and that will make it more nose heavy. Hold this, camera crew. So if you were to get something up there, or if you take some tape and tape a few paper clips, tape it, and then if you find that it's too heavy, you can just take it right back off. This foam is gonna give you lots of flexibility. Plus, if this clip starts giving you trouble, warm it up a little bit like this, if it's cold out, and then open it up like that, and that will bite better for you. I haven't had that problem yet on this one, but we will. I can guarantee you we will. Okay, so full throttle, and then launch it off. Folks, this thing flies great, really easy, fun, great thing to get for your buddy. You know, bring it to the office. I'm at 60% throttle here, right over the camera crew. Super nice flying plane, well behaved, and it is not ideal conditions out here. It's not terrible either though. My brain is like, please use the rudder, Brian. Please use the rudder. And I'm like, brain, there is no rudder, stop. So where you get into trouble on this thing is if you try to bank too much and you lose all of your, you lose your ability to come out of it with a yaw. So like if you bank too tight and you do like an Esteban turn, then you have to make sure you keep a little bit of up nose. Otherwise, you're gonna just tumble it into the ground. You wanna see what it looks like at full speed crash? Here we go, full speed crash. Of course, I would go into the middle of the dirt.
New grass.
This is the spot that won't take, guys.
Yep.
All right, So as you can see, 0 damage. I mean, I was trying to screw it up. I wanted to tumble it, but I didn't quite get that. We're gonna go again. And yes, this transmitter, I'm gonna try to get the trim down just a hair. See, it's kind of trimmed almost to the center. I'm out of trim to the, there we go. There, it's finally turning on me with, there we go. So yeah, we're able to do some decent loops and stuff. It's not an overly porpoisey flight either, which is nice for a ready to fly. A lot of times we get that where they just end up being, you know, you're constantly riding the elevator just to get them to go flat and level, but this one actually behaves pretty well. Excuse me, folks. About 30% throttle, 10%, and then, oh!
I should have caught it. I was keeping my hand warm.
So this plane is it's a fun one. It's definitely an easy one to get. It'd be something that you could fly fairly easy. Both modes of flight are good. I would say a rudder would really improve the flight performance, but the thing is, it is what it is at this point. I feel like it's a good plane. And I feel like if you got it out of the box and you had never had any flight experience, you could have a fun afternoon, you know, a fun Christmas afternoon of trying to fly this new plane without having all the frustrations that I remember as a kid. Anytime somebody tried to get an airplane, it was always just basically a giant headache and it never really worked. And everybody ended up just pissed off and really not happy. And you know, here it is, we're flying in wind. You can see the thing's getting jostled around a little bit, but look, we're still having a good old time. I would consider myself to be a reasonably skilled pilot, so I find it super easy to fly. But the thing is, if you have no experience, this would definitely be a plane that you could get. Enjoy your time with it. You definitely will have some more crashes than I do. But the thing is, with the auto leveling, they call it stability, then you can actually not know what you're doing and fly it. Because this is with stability on, and it looks just the same, doesn't it? Because it's basically doing all the same things I'm doing, which is trying to keep level. That's with the wind there, folks, so you'll notice it's a little bit more wonky with the wind, or it appears to be more wonky. Oh, I was trying to catch it again. The thing is a little bit small for catching. And ironically enough, I thought that the drag from the prop would be an issue. It's really kind of not. Sometimes when you have a prop that doesn't break, which you generally can't break a brushed motor, this is a brushed motor, then you'll have a lot of drag and it makes the performance of the glider part of it terrible. This one actually does okay in that regard. So really surprised by that, but it's also a super small prop. Really, really high speed application where it spins super fast, low pitch, not much purchase with each rotation. So I feel like this plane is definitely good. The Hawkeye 600 millimeter by Arrows, definitely worth having. If you haven't already got one for yourself, if you're thinking about maybe getting some gifts for your family, between this and the Pioneer would be a better option for somebody that's a little bit more advanced, that already knows how to fly, or somebody that's wanting to learn to fly. That'd be a better trainer. But this is more of a fun toy, I think. That's the way I would put it. And if you're wanting to buy something that even the RC aficionado would really enjoy, then the Bigfoot 1.3 meter would be a great option. All from Arrows, all shipping from stateside locations. So if you're in North America right now, if you're in the United States, you should be able to get those before Christmas, I believe. Just depends on when you see this video. I apologize if it's too late. Try your best. But yeah, the Hawkeye, it's really cool. fun, toy grade, but still super fun. Very resilient to damage. We had 0 damage. There's still some configurability. You can change where the holes go in, and then inside of this, real easy to take apart, camera crew. All I have to do is just twist this, boom, and then you can take off the wing, get inside. You can make adjustments as you see fit. Pretty sweet setup. That's funny. And yes, you can adjust these and you can adjust those. That is something that we're not used to seeing. So if you want to change the way that this thing is configured slightly, you can do that. We seem to never really have access to those changes on these little ready to flies. And it's nice to see, it's refreshing to see a plane that's really set up well. And to be honest, we're gonna fly some more because the sun just came out for about 10 seconds. Here's just a pure glide here. I'm just gonna go up and glide. We'll do one loop. I'm gonna go back to dynamic, sorry. I was in the auto leveling setup there. When I say I'm gonna go up here and glide, I'm gonna go up here and glide with no throttle. Just to show you how it does. Okay, here we go, out of the throttle. So cool. Really pretty stinking good performance for a ready to fly, folks. You could stretch that battery life out for a long time if you're flying it like that. Although I do prefer it with throttle on this plane. I feel like you get air over the control surfaces and it does a little bit better. I really want to catch this thing. Okay, there we go. So as you can see, super fun little plane. If you want to get a good gift idea, look no further than the Hawkeye 600mm. Check the video description. You see the links in there. If you buy from those links, you'll be supporting our channel. And if you don't care for this one, we have lots of other choices. Just scroll a little further. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned. We're going to unbox, build, and radio set up this plane, but there isn't much to it, so stay tuned. We have a box. We're going to open it. Let's see what we've got here. Oh my goodness, it is the Hawkeye 600mm. This is a little ready to fly from Arrows. We started working with Arrows here a few months ago or a month ago or something like this. We've been super impressed with the quality of their products. So we're hoping this is another repeat of that same process. 600mm is a good size for a fun, ready to fly. So as you can see, it comes in a small, everything you should need will be in this box. It's got the vector stabilization system. And what that does is when the wind pushes up against your plane, then the system will resist. And then it also automatically levels the plane when you're in the beginner mode, when you let go of the sticks, which is a big deal. So we have an instruction manual, which is nice that they include an instruction manual. Shows you how to set it up. It's got a picture of the plane, of course. It says what plane it is, and then it just goes over some flying details, information. We're gonna weigh this thing and see if it's under 250 grams. My expectation is that it probably is. I just did this, and I don't want you guys to copy. I just lifted this wing out, and there is a wire attached, so be aware of that. I didn't notice that. I didn't break it, but there's a servo on the top wing, which makes sense for the ailerons. These are the ailerons here. And that wire goes in and it plugs into the flight controller up front. Let's see if we can get to it. Yeah, you can still get to it. So if you would accidentally pull that out, then just make sure that you line it up however it keys in there. And take note of the fact that the brown goes to the back. Super simple, very small, very light. Foam is flexible, which is nice for strength. Carbon fiber reinforcement right here. Looks like really flexible, which is good for a beginner. I'm not sure if we need that off at all, so I'm just gonna go ahead and pop it together real quick. We've got a brushed motor on here that holds down the cost, but of course brushless would be preferable for quality. The brushed is fine in an application like this. And once that drops down there, then you can do this. And there's a little key that keeps that located, okay? So then there's also a vent that comes in here and keeps that brushed motor from getting too hot. So there you have it. So that's the Hawkeye. And what I'm gonna do is, okay, so we have an elevator back here and we have ailerons here. So this is a bank and yank airplane. So there's 1 channel, 2 channels, 3 channels. But then there's, I believe there's actually a 4th channel on this, but there's just not hooked up and there's no rudder assembly on there. So you may not need the rudder to fly this very effectively. So that'd be hand launch, belly land. Let's look at the transmitter for a minute. So this is our throttle. This is where our yaw would be for the rudder, if there were a rudder. This is ailerons, and this is elevator. So up, down, yaw left, yaw right, throttle up, throttle down, and then roll left, roll right. And there's a little protective film on each of these. These are the bind buttons. They're duplicate, same thing. And then there's the different modes of action. So it should be like auto leveling or not. And then what else comes inside of here would be a small charger. And this is just a regular USB style charger. So we should get this thing started right away. Probably should have started with that, guys. The thing that's kind of nice about this little package is you can actually take this all apart, stick it back in the package, and then you can use it for easy transport. Although I must say this is a pretty small plane and it would be easy to, you know, even like imagine the back of your driver's seat, you've got that pocket, you could slide this in. So it would stay there nicely. This is a 380 milliamp hour 1S pack, which is 20C. So that means that it's 380 milliamps, 1 cell in series, which is sort of, you know, stupid to say it that way, but that's the way it works. It's called a 1S configuration in this case. So I'm just gonna grab the first USB adapter I have, and we're gonna plug this in and show you how it starts. It's got a little twisty tie. You can undo that or you can leave it if you'd like to keep it nice and tidy. Then of course this thing just goes in your USB-A. That's called a USB-A connection. Plug it into the wall, and I'm not seeing lights. Let's see if we flip it around if there's any lights. No lights yet. And then this is keyed, so it can only go in one way. See this? It won't go that way. It will go this way. And then a little red light comes on, so that's gonna charge. 380 milliamp hours. I'm assuming that'll take, you know, a half an hour or something like that to charge. So if you guys are getting this for your kids as a gift for Christmas, which would be a great idea, open up the box, charge the battery, get it ready to rock and roll. Don't charge it weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks in advance. But, you know, I don't think you're gonna be able to do that this year since we're already closer to Christmas than that. Yep. But at any rate, this would be a great option. These are shipping stateside, so from Minnesota, I believe. So I'm not sure how their international shipping works, but I believe they do have international shipping. So check the links in the video description below. You can buy one for your very own, and you can help support our channel. They send a small commission, not you. You don't have to pay it, they do. So that's really cool if you like the way that this thing flew. Or maybe if you don't like this so much, they have some other offerings as well. The Pioneer is another ready to fly that they're offering right now. You can get it with the same similar transmitter. It's a little bit more robust than this. And then they also have the 1.3 meter Bigfoot. All great choices for Christmas gifts that you might be considering this year in 2021. Or if you're watching this in the middle of the year in 2023 or whatever it is, we have these videos out in pretty much into perpetuity. So if you're seeing this and it's not Christmas, please forgive us. Or if you don't celebrate Christmas, then you can still buy Christmas presents for people that do. So anyway, this is the Hawkeye, and we are going to basically fly this thing and put the flight at the beginning of our videos. That's what we do here on Brian Phillips RC. But in terms of setup on this thing, it's so simple because this is a ready to fly. So you don't even have to bind the aircraft. We're gonna put 4 AA's in here. When that thing's done charging, we'll put the battery in and show you how to set it up. So we have the AA's, the flat side goes back here. Super easy stuff. You don't need to be an expert in radio controlled aircraft to do this. There's also a little diagram on there, just like every other electronic you've ever had. I write down what aircraft it goes with and the ready to flies because we have a bunch of them. Okay. You can turn that on, you'll see that a light comes on, it's got a small beep. That beep should happen, I believe, every 1 minute. And so everything works there. There is stability mode is back here, which is auto leveling. And then dynamic mode is up here, which is like AS3X or stabilization only. Okay, so we'll show you how that looks in real life during the flight, of course. And we're gonna go ahead and weigh this and mark the center of gravity. Center of gravity speaks to where the plane should balance with the battery in it so that it flies on a proper pivot point. You don't have to mark this generally on ready to fly planes because they're usually not super touchy. But if it's gonna fly good, you wanna give it the best chance possible. On page 7, it talks about 30 to 40 millimeters. So if you don't have a pair of calipers, just use Google to do the translation from metric to standard. And, or if you have a metric ruler, you can use that. But 30 millimeters to 40 millimeters. Okay, so we'll just show you where that is. So what you do is you'll flip the plane on its belly, and from the leading edge, I usually just kind of take a caliper and make a little bump. And then I can take my marker and then follow in the bump. See that? Real simple. And 30.08 is what my display says right now. That's close enough. Okay, and I'm just bringing it out a little bit from the fuselage so that I can get in there and put my fingers on it and try to balance it. Now I'm gonna do the same exact thing, except I'm gonna measure out 40 millimeters this time, and that's gonna be our full range. So if you don't know how to do this, this is what you're gonna do. It's really simple. This just tells you exactly where you want that thing to balance. So as you can see, by studying the marks that we made, guess what's right on the center of gravity?
The carbon fiber.
The carbon fiber. And you're gonna find that to be true on many airplanes. It's not always true, but sometimes it's deceiving because there might actually be 2 of them. But the idea is it's usually kind of a good rule of thumb. So the calipers are a really nice idea if you're talking about measuring out on a bunch of different aircraft. And when you get your battery in there, remember that's with the battery in, you'll just take and kind of balance it on your fingertips. Right now, that plane's really tail heavy. That also shows you how strong it is because you can basically drop it and it doesn't damage it at all. So that's a good thing. Also, while the battery's charging, you can see that it's charging because there's a little red light still on. Let's talk about this little smart charger. This is a good idea if you're gonna have a bunch of these little ready to fly aircraft. This is the type of connector we have here. And I'll just grab another type of battery real quick just so it's easy to demonstrate how this works. Here's a couple of different batteries that we have sitting here. Just happen to be in the drawer right now. So this thing is going to plug into the wall and then it powers up and you can plug in 1S batteries. You identify it as a LiPo or a lithium, I forget what Li-Hi is, but I never do it that way. So this happens to be a 400 milliamp hours, so 0.4 amps is the same as 400 milliamp hours. And then it starts charging and it's gonna tell you what the charge value is. The number is the voltage, and then I believe it toggles between that and how much current has been put into it. I'm not 100% sure, but either way, it's gonna beep. It'll beep, 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 something like that when it's done, and then that light changes from red to green.
Yep.
So this is really nice if you have a bunch of planes that you're flying with, because then you can charge a bunch of different packs at the same time, and that's really helpful. Plus you can set how slow or fast you'd like to charge. So like on this one, I'll do 2C, meaning I'm gonna charge it at twice the charge rate, okay? Which would be twice the current, which would be, in this case, 0.8 amps is gonna be about twice what the capacity of the pack is. Okay, so now while this one's charging, we'll just assume that this would work just fine, and let's unplug that. We'll go ahead and lay this to the side, and then let's plug this in and see where we are in our voltage range. We're on this 4th cell, or 4th port. We'll scroll this into 1C, meaning 1 charge rate, and see we're at 3.967. It's kind of back and forth, and then that will bring it up to charge. So as you can see, this is the new battery for the Hawkeye. You can tell because it's got that Arrows label on it. Okay, so now this happens to be a 2-cell pack, so we can't show that, but it does have a JST. So if you're gonna plug that in, you could plug it in to the JST plug, but this happens to be a 2-cell pack, or 2 cells in series, a 2S pack, so it won't work. And then as you progress through the ranks, then eventually you end up with batteries that look like this, that costs hundreds of dollars. And this is a 7,000 milliamp hour 6S pack. And this is a Gen 2 smart pack, so it doesn't even have a balance lead anymore because we're getting away from that. And now we have chips that are inside of those batteries. Or another alternative would be something like this. That's Arrow's brand, and it's 3300, 14.8 volt. That's a 4-cell. So there's 4 cells that are 3300 milliamp hours each. That's the rating of how much capacity, how much they hold, okay? So quick lesson while we wait for the batteries to charge, but as you get into these ready to flies, you don't really need to be an expert on batteries, but just be careful. When you charge them on a hard surface that's not flammable in case you would have something crazy happen. These batteries are really the only thing dangerous in this application because this prop is not big enough to really hurt you unless you stick your eye on it. And if you stick your eye on it, then you're bound to be hurt. So maybe don't get this toy. But the thing is, when you're flying radio controlled aircraft, there is some rules that come into play. When you get over 250 grams, if you're flying outdoor. If you're indoor, you can fly as big as you want, I guess, technically. So let's go ahead and turn this on. At least that's the way it is here in North America. Okay, or in the United States. So I'm gonna go from pounds to grams. We're gonna measure the plane, but remember there's no battery in here. Okay, so we're 62 grams. All right, so 62 grams. Now I'm just gonna pull this bigger battery. This is a more heavy battery. I'll stop it. You hear that warning? That's a 400 milliamp hour pack and we're at 73 grams. So we're well within the 250 gram allowance, which means that we can fly this without any FAA registration for drones. So there's a drone registry and that has to do with planes that are bigger than 250 grams. Ironically, I think this one might be still under 250 grams. Yeah, that one's under 250 grams. But the thing is, if you were to go to this one, for instance, then you're over that. So you have to actually do the math and measure them on a scale. But some planes that are really big, bigger planes like this, of course, this is over 250 grams. So you're gonna have to have a registration sticker on the outside and follow some rules. It's not anything too crazy, but just go to know before you fly if you really wanna know before you fly, or just do it anyway. But you didn't do it because of me.
But if you're getting this for your kid or your husband for Christmas,
you don't have to worry about it. Yep. So you can just go out and fly it in the backyard, no big deal. Try not to end up on your neighbor's roof. That does tend to hurt neighborly relations, I have learned from past experience doing it myself many times. And if you do get something on your neighbor's roof, you need to be ready to get it off of your neighbor's roof. And don't just depend on Mother Nature to blow it off of there because that may not happen always. I've also learned that from experience. So anyway, this is the Arrow's Hawkeye 600, it was 600, right? Yeah, 600 millimeters. Ready to fly configuration, comes with everything you need. And what we're gonna do next is we're just gonna buy from the links below if you're interested in supporting our channel. That will help us with small commissions from the companies we work with, like hobbyzone.com. And so let's go ahead and pop this open real quick. Just follow the link. You don't pay any extra, but we get a small commission, which helps to keep our channel funded. So this is a little bit bigger battery, full disclosure. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn our transmitter on, make sure your throttle sticks all the way down. Plug that in, okay. So it's got a little flashy light going on in there. And I'm gonna just see if that gets us to center of gravity. The only reason we're doing this now is just because we wanna test it. We don't want you guys to have to wait any longer. Okay, so just lay that on the table. Throttle up, throttle down. You see it go through this little dance sequence. That's the flight controller initiating. So now I'm gonna point it at myself, hold it. Good amount of power. Elevator. See how it's pointed up right now? I got my hands off the sticks. Now it's level. Now look at the ailerons. It's gonna try to level the plane. So when you go into the dynamic mode, it's not gonna do that. It's gonna respond, but what it's trying to do is every time the wind pushes down on the wing, it's gonna move the ailerons to counter that. And then the same with the elevator. But then it just goes back. So the idea is as you're flying along, if you're flying along like this, the wind goes like this, it's gonna try to push it back. Whereas if you're going down like this and you put on this stability mode, then it's gonna level the plane, okay? Which is really helpful for a beginner pilot, because as a beginner pilot, you don't realize that when you're flying, it doesn't automatically level. You let go of the sticks and it just keeps going in that direction and orientation, okay? So just show you what I'm talking about. We'll see if we can fly it inside the house here real quick. We're in dynamic right now. Well, actually, we'll go to stability, so it's auto leveling. That's not the way a glider would typically fly across your room into your TV. Normally it would fly into your TV because you made a mistake, okay? So now I'm gonna show you the same thing, but I'm gonna show you in a way that really demonstrates how this works before we even go outside, okay? I'm gonna throw it upside down. Watch how this works. It's trying to level the plane.
Right.
So what's happening is this flight controller knows where level is. It knows where the horizon is, and it's trying to match the wings to the horizon. Same thing with the level. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw it in the same orientation, only I'm gonna throw it up like this, and it's gonna level out. See how it leveled out? Now the one thing you notice is that when it went down, it took some time to stabilize. That's because it still has to start flying, meaning that you have to have enough air going across the wing to create lift. So it's just like a real plane, except small. So now, let's try flying it in here. We're gonna fly it outside, don't worry guys. Let's check the CG first. 2 dots. That bounces out really nice with that 400 milliamp. And we're still at 4.12 volts. This needs to get to 4.2 volts before it's charged. All right, so this is probably gonna fly too fast, just so you guys know. Yeah, way too fast for in this environment, unfortunately. So, if you get this to fly inside of a gymnasium, you might be okay. But you're not gonna fly this in your living room without major modifications. So, just be aware of that. Okay, so this battery's full. Let's go ahead and pull this battery out. So the first thing you're gonna do when you get your plane, you're gonna open it up, you're gonna get the charger out, you're gonna plug it into your wall outlet or whatever, your little AC adapter that goes into your USB-A or your laptop or whatever it happens to be, your TV, whatever has a USB plug, okay? You're gonna let it charge while you get your batteries in this thing. You're gonna get yourself familiarized with the controls, and then you're gonna go outside and fly it. So now I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and use the stock battery, and we'll bring this other battery. So the flight time might be a little bit diminished because we're gonna fly it on a partially, not a fully charged battery. I would let it charge all the way if I was you. Now let's see how this one fits too. Always have your transmitter on first with an airplane. There are a few random exceptions to that, but I'm just gonna say that in a general way. Be careful about that little red and orange, or red and blue cable that's going back. Okay, so this stuff's in there. I'm trying to kind of see if there's a way to get it to go just so, because you want that pretty much all the way forward like this so it can't move. Okay, so now that we have that in there, and be careful about those solder joints. You don't want to break that off there. It's going to ruin your day for your kids if you break that off. See, I can't quite get that in if I stuff it in there that way.
Because there's a little tab on the canopy.
There's a tab.
It has to fit in there too.
So you see, I'm trying to stuff this in such a way that it fits nicely. Oh, there we go.
Oh, there you go, yeah.
So I got that in there now. The first battery I used was a different brand. Okay. Just happened to be the right specs or real close. Okay, so now let's check the CG. That thing is perfectly balanced as long as you get it down in there. Okay, so without further ado, we're gonna go fly this thing, and then the all-up weight, I think earlier we gave you a measurement with the bigger pack. So let's go ahead and put this down. Make sure it's zeroed when you start. Finding a flat spot is tough on there. Okay. So now 74 grams is what we've got for all-up weight. So 74 grams is obviously going to be allowed under the 250 gram threshold, and we'll be flying next. Guys, if you want to help support us, buy it from the links in the video description below. It's the easiest way to help pay us back for any effort or help that we have saved you from or induced. Either way, we appreciate you, best audience in YouTube history. Stay tuned, there's so much more coming. We have new content almost every week, and we're trying to do a couple times a week if we can get it to work, but weather gets tough during winter in central Iowa. It just makes it a little harder with some of the smaller planes especially. So stay tuned, thanks for watching.